Hey, what's up? This is Shay dropping in on to talk to you about the episode of the Have and the Have Nots, Season 6, Episode 3, Undercover Vice, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, but we're going to roll with it if it's not. Okay? Tonight, in the beginning to episode, I felt nothing explosive about those. But Tyler Perry didn't let me down tonight. I'm telling you guys. Before I get started with this episode, the Undercover Vice, I mean, what did that have to do with the title? There wasn't anything the title didn't have. It didn't fit. I mean, come on. What was being undercover, okay, in this episode, okay? Okay. I'm just saying, okay? I'm not trying to be long winded, but I'm just saying. Okay? I digress. Okay. Last episode was the most boring, the last two episodes was the most boring episode I had ever seen. It was like I was watching a episode or two of All My Children. Come on now. I mean, I know somebody agree with me. Come on. I do not watch soaps. Come on. And I felt like that's what I was watching. The episode of them. Okay. This episode opened up with Beanie at the hospital with Veronica. Now I don't know why I find it interesting why these two guys was at the hospital with Veronica and why she wanted Beanie to be there to join her in the ambulance ride with her. I just thought that was just so interesting. I mean, why? I mean, could it be that she still have a thing for him? Or could it be that she just realized that she's lost everything? Everybody pretty much has abandoned her family and her friends. I mean, who knows? With this woman, I mean, come on. Or maybe she's seen the error of her ways and she may be trying to make amends. But no, however, now I did notice that she did see Justin in her back review mirror when he was running up on her trying to attack her vehicle, the one that ran her off the road. And I'm sure she got some dealings with him when she get out the hospital, as she does with her daughter-in-law. Huh? I'm sure you all saw that episode tonight. Yes, she gonna hook her up on later on tonight. I'll let you know at the end of my commentary. Okay? Oh man, this is just crazy. So hopefully she'll see the error of her ways. Well, don't count on it. Okay, so we move on. Justin. Okay, so Hannah, she comes up to Benny. Benny, he was nervous. He didn't pretty much know what Hannah was gonna tell him, but he knew Hannah was gonna be, upset. He was telling her about Veronica, and she would immediately start telling him, this kind of a way. She said, tells Benny, you are holding the snake by its tail. Of course, Benny brushes his mom off. So Hannah is at the hospital. She just let Benny just be Benny. So she's at the hospital, let him know that, hey, I got this letter from your nephew, and we need to read it. And it was found in his pocket. Doctors called me out to come get it, and we need to get together because he want us to make amends, And so we all gonna get together, and try to do what little Quincy wanted us to do, And it'd be nice when families do that happens, They actually honors that person's wishes. Some families are able to do that. Some families does not succeed at that. So, but he did want them, his parents, a little 8-year-old boy like that, was very very smart. He wanted his family to make amends. The next scene was Landon. Landon and Charles was back at the hotel. They were turning up, you guys. They were turning up in the room. Okay. They shared some military stories when Charles was in the military, and some of his little bit of love life stories, and well, and you know, some of their stories, whatever. Wasn't nothing, but Landon, he took control of the situation. He disposed of all the liquor that was in there, but he wanted to avoid any of the tabloid situation that could come out of their situation. Hey, they make sure they didn't want nobody to say, okay, who's this other woman in this room? They may have to find a lipstick on the glass, and then they may not find a lipstick on the glass. They might have been like, well, who is this other man in the room? Since there wasn't a lipstick in the glass. So they want to take care of all that, make sure. So Landon did a good job, but I thought Landon, he was so busy watching Charles, I thought he was going to end up staying there, and they going to catch him there the next morning. But he finally got himself, collected himself, and got himself together and got himself out of there before it would be in a real situation. But he got out. Landon. Okay. Next up, Justin's wife. She goes in and meets Mr. Jeffrey. She was like, well, hey, I don't know what the deal is with you, Jeffrey. Okay, I thought you was married. I mean, but you're gay. I mean, one minute you're supposed to be having a baby. But you're sleeping with my husband. What's the deal with you, Jeffrey? But you got a baby on the way. I don't know what to believe. But I'm sure between her and the DA, they gonna work something out. They gonna work something out. Jeffrey. I don't know. His mama, Veronica, she's all in the thick of it, and Oscar and all them. My man. Now this have to do with Jeffrey, man, oh man. Okay, now this thing with the body, you got to do with Jeffrey. Then this thing they got to do with the body with Jennifer Salazar. Now they found the body. Now they found a name on it with the priors with the name on it as a prior with a note. But somehow they would find a way to get out of it, said George. Because the criers. You know how they are. But they're gonna try to make it stick. But the criers, they're gonna find a way to get out of that. And George already know it. So Oscar told the lady to get on the phone, and it was Jim. So I guess we know how this gonna go down already, huh? We already know how it's gonna go down. Jim is already involved, okay? So next scene, David's nose, so wide open. He is cooking. He is leaving Erica keys and allowing her to move into his home, sleep in his bed, and shortly after David and Erica dinner, okay, she gets startled by a police standing at the door. He just stood out in the yard looking around like he lived there. And then David, of course, he goes to the door and he finds out that it was about his son. His son has been locked up in county because of his wife. And so he goes back in, tells the wife, his live-in wife, the girl that lived with him, David, tells him it was all about the son. Oh, calm down, Erica, calm down. Yes, she's all shaking. Told him that her husband, boyfriend or ex, is a cop. When did Candace become a cop? Okay. Next scene, Wyatt calls Jeffrey, and Justin answers the phone. Uh-oh. Now, Justin goes ballistic. Wyatt mm, told Justin, I don't know what kind of stalkerish stuff you are doing. I am not the one. Go ahead, Justin. Go ahead, Wyatt. I don't know what kind of stalkerish stuff you on, but hey, I am not the one. And then got the police officers telling him he gonna bash his head in if he calls back on Jeffrey's phone. Come on now. Got three men fighting over Jeffrey. Come on. A married man that's married to a DA. Woo! They need to get themselves together. Okay? So we'll see how this gonna work out. I'm sure it's not gonna work out too good for the officer, Justin. Next scene is Catherine, the matchmaker. Okay? She's trying to hook up the maintenance man with her good old friend, what's her name? Help me out with her name. Yeah, Hannah. And he saw right through what she was doing. So he was like, give her my number. She was like, no, she's a good Southern girl. So no, you have to call her. So he was like, oh, Miss Veronica doing the same thing. And then she's like, And so he was like, well, I hope she be all right. And then Miss Pryor was like, what's wrong with her? She was in a bad accident. You need to call her. She's like, I'll get right on that. Yeah. Okay, I'm wrapping this up. Okay, there's a couple more things that happened. And Hannah and Benny gets ready and they heads on over to Candace's room. That's where she's about to turn her last trick for, I'm assuming, for tonight. Who knows how that goes? I don't know how many you could turn a night, but hey, I'm sure whatever floats your boat. So she gives Candace comes in, open the door. So she gives Candace the letter that her son had written. Candace began to tear up, and she began to point blame, point fingers. And then she was like, "What is it going to take, Candace?" she said. And then Candace said, "You told her mother, you dying." And Benny said, "Look, we shouldn't come here over here. We shouldn't. She can't see it. It is her own fault." So they was passing the blame. Oh man, this is so terrible. It is when you're in that situation and you can't see past the hurt. When it's your fault, it takes some time. You can't see past the hurt to realize that, hey, this is you. You know what I'm saying? And so after they got through going back at each other, passing the blame, then there was a knock at the door, and Benny said, "I know that's not your John." So Candace went on ahead and opened the door, and it was his John. He came on in. The man came in, and he said, "Well, hey, I can go ahead and leave." And Benny said, "You need to." Candace said, "No, you need to leave." And then the man said, "I can leave." Then they said, "Well, yeah, you do need to leave." And then Hannah said, "Yeah, he needs to leave." And then of course, Candace told Hannah, "You need to leave." And then that's when Hannah spoke up and said, "Candace, that's your father." Father? What? Father? This is your father? This woman almost was about to turn a trick with her father? I wasn't ready for this twist. Tyler, I was not. Tyler, I'm sorry. I was not ready. Not at all. I don't know what Tyler's about to ready to do, but I was not ready